Hi, everyone. Welcome to Blockchain Ireland Week. As a Blockchain Ireland Week sponsor, Algorand Foundation is delighted to host this session. It's called Algorand Payments and Blockchain Use Cases Better, Faster and Cheaper. Just to give you kind of a heads up, like what does the session, how will it look? It'll be, first of all, we'll introduce our wonderful panel today, and we'll kind of chat for about 40 minutes. And then you'll have an opportunity to ask some questions. Throughout the session, we'll also be doing a couple of polls. So everyone, you can see the chat is activated on the right. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what's been said by the panel as well. And you're all welcome to this panel. A little bit of background. So Algorand, founded by MIT professor Silvio Macali. It's a Boston-based proof-of-stake protocol, and we kind of pride ourselves on addressing the blockchain trilemma of security, scalability, and decentralization, with an emphasis on payments. And this is why we're doing this talk today. So I'm Joanna. I'm the community manager for Europe. I'm also delighted to have a couple of teammates here with me. Ronan, who this event would not have happened without his help. He's waving there. And also Autumn Penaloza, also based in LA. If you give us a wave there, Autumn. Thanks for that. Autumn's going to be kind of helping me out throughout the event. So let's get, and I'm just going to quickly introduce our panel. We have Sveinn Valfells, he's the co-founder of Monerium. We have the CEO of PlanetWatch, Claudio Parrinello. And we also have Elio Barbera from Cafe Barbera. He's the managing director. And we have Mike Wise, who is the founder and CEO of Bleumi Pay. What's really nice about this panel is each person is here because they're all connected. So we have a coffee roaster, and you can buy your coffee beans from Cafe Barbera, one of the oldest roasting in Europe. And they use Bleumi Pay. And then you also have Claudio, who sells a couple of other products using Bleumi Pay as well, and he'll talk a little bit about that. And then Sveinn is really interesting because as the first licensed e-money for euros, they kind of amplify the experience of using Bleumi Pay also, and he's going to go a little bit more into that. So let's start with the business case. So actually, Mike, I'm going to start with you, if that's okay.
Sure. So the business case, what are we trying to solve at Bleumi Pay? So first of all, thank you very much for this event, for giving us a chance to connect. Blockchain Ireland Week, I so wish I was there in person, but we are doing what we can, right? So at Bleumi Pay, we see a shift happening from fiat payments to digital currency payments. And so we've been trying to get our head around this. And by the way, it varies by geography. So, what's happening in Southeast Asia is different from Latin America, from US, from Europe, et cetera. So it's a really interesting riddle to solve. And so we've come up with a solution that you'll see in a few minutes that gives the merchant the control over what they accept, what they're willing to sort of do business in, which currencies, and it also gives the buyer choices for what currencies they want to pay in. The last thing I'll say is that we definitely see, I'm sure everybody on this call knows that a lot of people are investing or buying cryptocurrencies worldwide. And so that process is like the first stage of actually using those currencies, that crypto in payments. So now that people are accumulating those payments, now we've got this solution that allows them to use them to buy stuff, B2B or B2C.
Brilliant. Okay, and so Claudio and Elio, I guess, using Bleumi Pay. So Elio, I'm just going to go your business case here.
Yeah, hello everyone. So Cafe Barbera is a very old established company founded in 1870 in Italy, and we look at last year to implement cryptocurrencies payment at the beginning for our e-commerce. So we do have an e-commerce where we, let's say, supply all around Europe. And we started at the beginning implementing three main cryptocurrencies, the most common one, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and at the time, Ripple. And then with the time, we started to implement more. So we started with Algorand. We did a beautiful partnership with Algorand with a special community discount. And with the help of Bleumi Pay, we managed to implement this plugin and allow our consumer to pay in crypto. So today we are the first coffee commerce in Italy and in Europe, accepting over 20 different cryptocurrencies. Of course, in this room, Algorand, Algo, and Monerium are the two that we are trying to push as much as we can because they have different, let's say, advantages comparing to the others. And of course, as part of the company vision is also to extend this cryptocurrencies adoption also for the B2B channel. So as we speak, we are working with our network of distributors worldwide as we export to over 60 countries to find ways to, let's say, accept stablecoins payment for proper coffee shipment. So we are, for example, now working on the first stablecoin transaction for a coffee shipment with the UAE, between Italy and the UAE. And from our side, we're trying as much as we can to implement stablecoins payment throughout our system.
Brilliant. And it's really diverse because we're from coffee to PlanetWatch. So Claudio, can you give us your business case? Claudia, I think you might have your microphone off. I'll tell you what. Actually, it's fine. Can you go ahead, and then we'll come back to Claudio.
So money is the asset. Traditional money is the asset which all other assets trade against, even cryptocurrency. So the problem that Monerium is solving is putting traditional, mainstream, regular money on blockchain in a legal, authorized, proven way. So we're the first company authorized to issue money on blockchains in Europe. We already support euros. We've issued sterling. We've issued US dollars, and of course the Icelandic krona. We're from Iceland. We're part of our currency. And what we're doing as well is that we're integrating the bank accounts that people use for everyday transactions with blockchains, like blockchain wallets and smart contracts. So you can move your money using our services seamlessly from your bank account, starting with euros in the Eurozone, to your blockchain wallet, like the MyAlgo wallet on Algorand. We're partnered with Rand Labs, incidentally, and back at a very low cost and almost instantly. This happens using the European payment systems and the Algorand blockchain within about 15 seconds.
That's incredible.
Yes, that's what we do.
And what's really interesting, you started off, I guess, with with Bitcoin, right? Correct? Or
we started. Well, we were all early in the crypto community, as it were. So I came across Bitcoin in 2011. One of my co-founders participated in the Ethereum pre-sale, but we met with Algorand in 2019, just before the Algorand launch. We met with Federico, your colleague in Europe, and Silvio at a conference in Europe, and we instantly realized the potential of Algorand as the first scalable proof-of-stake blockchain. Silvio's trilemma, he solves, which is why we partnered very early with Algorand, just after the launch. And what I'd like to say also, I mean, it's a brilliant design by one of the pioneers in cryptography who laid the foundations for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a lot of other things that we use now, including zero-knowledge proofs. but for blockchains to become mainstream, they have to have key criteria solved in the way that Algorand has. And so that, a company like Barbera can use it in mainstream transactions. Bleumi payment can support in mainstream transactions. And also, what I think now that I think Claudio has his microphone set up, I would hand over to him via Johanna, is that we have this brilliant pioneering project from PlanetWatch, which is crowdsourcing environmental monitoring and putting it on a common ledger and rewarding people with cryptocurrency called planets. We're so proud to be involved with that, and that's my 2 cents for the time being.
Thanks, Sveinn. Claudio, you're back on track. Can you give us a little your use case?
Sure. Well, I apologize for this connection issue, which always happens at the wrong time. Thank you for the invitation. So a few words about PlanetWatch. PlanetWatch, our goal is to decentralize and incentivize environmental monitoring. I mean, environmental monitoring is a big societal challenge because of a large number of reasons. And the recent pandemic has just given us a very rough wake-up call on the importance of living in a safe and healthy environment. And one of the parameters enabling a safe environment is air quality. So air quality is our focus at the moment. In order to monitor properly air quality and mitigate all risks related to public health arising from air quality, you need a very dense mesh of air quality sensors worldwide. And our challenge is to define a cost-effective and seamless way to deploy network of sensors in cities, basically on demand, by getting local residents engaged, talking to them, convincing them that it's in their own interest to collaborate in this endeavor. So it's a kind of a citizen science project. The blockchain comes into place because we provide incentives for people to deploy and maintain air quality sensors which stream data to our platform. So essentially, we reward data streams from sensors when they reach our platform. And we reward them with utility tokens issued on the Algorand blockchain. And we're building in the process a tamper-proof permanent global air quality ledger, as Sveinn mentioned. So the importance of payments in this context is related to the importance of widespread adoption. So we don't have a project for crypto geeks, let's say. We want to get ordinary people involved worldwide, families who care about their children's health and all this. So you need to facilitate all the aspects related to onboarding people and keeping them informed and happy. And payments, of course, are a pillar of this scheme. And we're very happy to have had the opportunity to cater for crypto payments in a seamless way, thanks to Bleumi Pay and thanks to Monerium, because we are based in the European Union, so we're particularly sensitive, interested to blockchain-based euro currency. So payments are crucial when you want to reward people, when you want to let them purchase items with which they earn through their rewards. And that's why we are here, and that's why we are so happy to be in this very responsive and very collaborative ecosystem, which is the Algorand ecosystem, with strong partners such as Monerium and Bleumi.
Brilliant. Thanks, Claudio. It really is that kind of element of bringing it into mainstream, and it's one of the ways through payments, I think, is that people can actually understand and not be kind of scared by cryptocurrencies or payments or anything. So it's really great to get that to kind of understand what you're all doing. Mike, I'm just what are you trying to solve? What have you learned? Since kind of kicking off Bleumi Pay.
Oh boy, the nature of a fintech startup, we've learned so much. The biggest thing we've learned is all about compliance and staying within the guardrails of the legal and regulatory environment, anti-money laundering, know your customer, all of those aspects. You know, in the last 6 months, we've learned so much about NFTs. You know, they obviously we've all known about NFTs. In fact, I was watching a Boston Blockchain Week video that I recorded from 2 years ago, where Silvio Macaulay was standing in front, and he's the founder of Algorand. Awesome, this guy. You know, you want to follow Silvio Macaulay. He makes things so simple. He's an MIT, instructor. But he was talking. He was giving an example on a whiteboard about NFTs 2 years ago. So of course he made it really simple and easy to understand. But now all of a sudden NFTs are a huge thing. So how do we deal with NFTs? Because people are paying for them. They're buying them, right? Money's changing hands. So we've learned a ton about all this, and we've also seen the big players: Visa, MasterCard, PayPal. You know, you can Google any of them in the context of cryptocurrency, and they're all starting to do something. So this global shift is happening, and I think it's great. I'll just say the other thing that's happening is tokenization. And Claudio didn't really talk too much about this, but the brilliance of PlanetWatch in terms of leveraging crowdsourcing, as he said, citizen science, by rewarding people for taking an atmospheric measurement and giving them a token in exchange for that is fungible, that you can use to buy coffee at Cafe Barbera, is brilliant. So that's a few things we've learned. Brilliant.
Sveinn, how do you feel that Monerium can help Ireland or UK or Europe? How do you feel Monerium is kind of moving things forward?
Well, the way we're moving forward is, like Mike described, is that you have to be mindful of staying within the guardrails of the financial regulatory system, the regulatory framework, and at the same time you want to give the users maximum choice. So the way we decided to move forward was to become a licensed institution for the purpose of issuing money on blockchains. We're the first and to date the only ones to support the euro and the eurozone. So what we're doing is we're engaging with platforms like Bleumi and with companies like Barbera and projects like PlanetWatch in order to support them in using regular mainstream currency for their transactions. So by putting money on blockchain, one of our partners described it as being open banking on steroids, because the flexibility of money on blockchain is so much more than in the siloed systems that people use today. You can program transactions atomically so that either both of them or neither of them happen at the same time. You can do multi-signature transactions very easily based on open standards. And everything moves at the speed of light at a very low cost. It's another type of engine that powers and could power not just cryptocurrency speculation, which has its own sort of separate justification, but also mainstream transactions like the supply chain at Barbera Coffee. As Elio was describing, he can remove boundaries in transactions and costs and reduce slippage and make things automatic, where it's very difficult to do so today. And that's really our long-term focus, is to support the mainstream economy with regular currencies, such as euro, such as sterling. And because we are in Europe, European currencies will be our initial focus, but at a later date, other currencies in other jurisdictions.
Brilliant. And so, Elio, with Cafe Barbera, why was this? Why Algorand? Why did you focus in on Algorand? What was it about the platform?
I used to say three reasons like the trilemma. So the first reason is, let's say, the cost of transaction that is very, very, very low. And for a coffee product, especially for the B2C, where actually the purchase of coffee, the average check, the average purchase is very big. We're talking about 30 to 40 euros. So, of course, having a cheap transaction like the one in Algorand was perfect compared to other blockchain. Second one was, of course, the speed of transaction. Of course, a customer going in e-commerce would like to have their transaction approved very quickly, and with Algorand you can do that. And the third reason is because Silvio Micali is Italian, we are Italian, and even more actually, with Barbera originally is from Sicily, and Silvio Micali also originally is from Sicily, so it was a perfect match. Yeah.
Brilliant. And Claudio, would that be the same reasons why you chose Algorand, because you're Italian?
Well, I'm Italian and from Sicilian origin for one thing, so it sounds like mafia, right? But never mind. No, I had the honor to meet Silvio a couple of years ago in Rome, but I had already heard about Algorand, and I was fascinated by this very disruptive technology. And also, last but not least, for our project, which is supposed to help the environment and public health, what's very important is that the Algorand blockchain is the most energy efficient blockchain which I know about at this level of performance. So it's a green blockchain. We are a green project generating green data. So that's one more reason why it makes a lot of sense for us to be on Algorand. But of course, the technical specs are it's really important for us because, our project is already gathering every second streams from hundreds of sensors worldwide, and this is scaling up very fast into the thousands. So we need a very scalable blockchain which can process an awful lot of transaction, because every time we receive data from a sensor, we write them on the blockchain. So we need very, very large bandwidth, to put it this way, very secure system, because as you know, the Algorand has kind of solved the trilemma. So it's at the same time very scalable, very decentralized, and very secure, and very green. So I think that should not be forgotten. And again, fifth element, the Algorand, the ecosystem is very cooperative. The Algorand Foundation is very supportive of innovative projects. So it's really an ideal ecosystem to try and innovate and do something good and forward-looking.
Brilliant, Claudio. You mentioned an ecosystem, and obviously, that could kind of encompass Algorand Inc. and Algorand Foundation. But have any of you, and this is a little bit of a curveball question, because like Mike and Sveinn, have you seen, and Elio, have you seen kind of like the ecosystem growing? Even like since you've been kind of like activated on Algorand, have you seen that like ecosystem growing? Mike, I'll probably put that one to you.
Yeah, I'd be interested. And by the way, there's a poll up that's live on the right side of the interface. People want to talk about whether or not they hold cryptocurrencies that could be used for payments, for B2C payments. Interesting poll there. Yeah, so I've had the good fortune of visiting Algorand, their offices in downtown Boston, and speaking to a lot of their team and connecting with a lot of their use cases, a lot of the people that are using Algorand for various projects. 3 of them are on this meetup. But the thing I love about Algorand, in addition to what Elio said about really faster and cheaper, is that it's an awesome team. This is a real deal company that has a terrific, very smart team, and very well funded. And in the last 2 years, so I first heard about them 2 years ago, about 2.5 years ago. They've just grown by probably 10 factor. So, and for good reason. The technology is really spot on. I love the Algorand Foundation as well. I just submitted a proposal to Autumn of a company that wants to get involved in charities and NFTs. and Autumn is considering it across her team. It's a really easy company to interact with, and they're just doing it right. So good job, you guys.
That's just because you have our emails. I'm joking. Anyone else that wants to interact with us, you can get through to us through the website.
I would like to say, if I may, because I've been around Bitcoin since the market cap was $100 million, and then I saw Ethereum being, it emerged from the cloud, as it were, rather than the womb. It's still the early days. It's still the early days of blockchain adoption, and Ethereum, bless them, they're having a little bit of growing pains. They're building the layer 2. Good luck to them. Algorand comes just out of the box, almost like that Greek goddess that jumped out of Zeus's head, and it's still finding market traction. And I think there's a lot of potential there. And as I think Mike said, it's backed by a terrific team. And each of these technologies, these platforms, is still trying to find its a niche in the marketplace. But I'd say out of the box, Algorand is designed for B2B commerce, for mainstream transactions, and it has a lot of the kinks and the wrinkles that the others have just totally ironed out. So I'm Algorand, I'm bullish on Algorand.
Great, okay. So we're gonna take a look under the hood now. Elio, and this is an opportunity for you, the audience, to see this, in action, which is great. So I'm just going to explain really quick, what it is. So Elio from Cafe Barbera is going to buy a coffee through crypto, through using algos and using Bleumi Pay. So Mike and Elio, I'm going to hand it over to you to just do this demo.
Yeah, so we're going to use actually Monerium on the Algorand blockchain, just as a, so whenever you're ready, I can share the screen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, share the screen. All right. Okay. I guess you can see it, right?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so here we are in the Cafe Barbera e-commerce. Let's, for example, just show you in the home page, we have on the bottom the values.
Hey, Elio, one quick second. I forgot to say, we're going to give away some coffee here. So the first person, are you listening? The first person that puts in the chat window what year Cafe Barbera was founded is going to win some coffee. Go!
Okay. Can I proceed?
Is it 1870?
Correct.
All right, we have a winner. It was, go ahead, Elio. It was MNDLSN. You'll have to connect with me on LinkedIn and send me your address so we can ship it to you. Go ahead, Elio.
Okay, so we are here. Let's try, for example, to purchase this product. We add it on the cart. Okay. We proceed to the checkout. Now, here I will put just my information. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, so here you can choose the payment method you would like to use. So in this case, of course, we click on Bleumi, pay with crypto. All right. We accept the terms and condition and we place the order.
So just so everybody can see that the Bleumi option is just another option. In this particular case, because it's e-commerce, this is a Magento plugin. For any of you that are running e-commerce websites, it's a Magento 2 plugin, and it looks just like PayPal, anything else. Go ahead, Elio.
Yeah, so you will be redirected to the Bleumi page. You will select the currency you would like to pay. So in this case, Monerium. we proceed. And
so what's happening is you got all those choices. Now Elio is going to pretend that he's using his Algorand wallet to make the payment. So this would work just for any customer. And this purchase is actually being scanned remotely by the CEO of Bleumi, Thomas Arul. And you can see, we can just count. I'll just talk for 20 seconds or so. This will go to a check mark that the payment has been made. So from a digital currency wallet to a digital currency wallet right now, real time, and the money is now transferred. So, and it works just like a regular PayPal purchase or any other kind of purchase. So it's very simple. Lots of choices for the customer to pay with. Sorry, go ahead, Elio. Let's look at Magento.
Yeah, and of course I would like to show the Magento. So at the same time, I mean, we already received the payment, by the way. And here you will see the order just done 2 minutes ago in Magento 2.
It's Elio, for the listeners who Magento is that your backend?
Yeah, Magento, I'm sorry, it's actually our backend in Magento 2, yes.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, that's the e-commerce backend for the shopping cart.
Yeah.
Yep, and Bleumi also has the same thing for WooCommerce, which a lot of people use relative to WordPress. So that money, if you follow the trail on that, you pick the product, you pick the payment method. Once you got into the payment methods, digital currency, you had a list of currencies that you could choose from. Those were set up by Elio in his Bleumi admin. So he allowed, I want this one, I don't want this one, I want this one, I don't want this one, right? And so what we saw in the interface was the choices that Cafe Barbera has enabled for their customers. Those are tuned, by the way, by geography. So if I'm in the US, I won't see some. If I'm in Southeast Asia, I won't see others. So all of these things are working together to make a seamless user experience. That's awesome.
There's a lot of questions from the audience around the fees. So just to confirm, it's like 0.001, right? The merchant fees?
Correct, yes.
Right, yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, that's great. Thank you for that demo.
Claudio,
you're up.
I can't wait to see Claudio's.
Yes, back again.
And Claudio, just also for any of the audience that don't really know what PlanetWatch is, it's a really nice way to even, because you have that map and it's really clear, just to explain a little bit about it.
Okay, so I'll share my screen and show you the end result of the data we are collecting, and then I'll show you the back office part on the blockchain. So let's share the screen.
So I think there might be another poll up there.
Okay. Professionally, my business is currently holding cryptocurrencies in a digital wallet that could be used for B2B payments. Yes. Go ahead, Claudio.
Okay.
We see it.
Yeah, okay. So again, the bottom line, this is one of our user interfaces. It's a web-based map. I'm zooming in on the city of Milan in the north of Italy. And one of the things we deliver is an outdoor worldwide map where cities are covered with pixels. And if a pixel has a color, it means that there are active PlanetWatch sensors in that area. So the color code, of course, is related to air quality. So you get a snapshot of current air quality in the city of Milan, and you can also access some more detailed information. For example, you click on a pixel, and you open up some information about some historical data. Now things have been pretty good in the last few days here, but it's not always the case. So you can visualize data. You can also have fun with a time lapse of air quality over the last 30 days. So this thing will run and look through parameters in the last few days. And this is these of hundreds of sensors, validating them, aggregate the interface. What's going on behind the scene is that data streams are being collected every second, essentially, by those sensors. And every time a stream is collected and validated, it's written on the Algorand blockchain. So what I'm going to show here is our own version, is the Algo Explorer, and the page related to our asset, which is named Planet. So these are all Planet transactions in real time taking place. So you see things are updated here every second, by and large, because every second there is some sense of streaming data to us. And the data, as I said, were written on the blockchain, built in a ledger. The wallets, the Algorand wallets of owners of sensors. So again, the thing is, yeah, sensing is mining, with some abusive language in our world. People like to think of our pieces of hardware, of sensors, as something like miners for a cryptocurrency. It's not quite the same, but it's good to say that the output of your device is earning new tokens. That's the way it is explained to people. So again, that's the back office, and once again, it is essential to cater for this, to have a blockchain which can sustain thousands of transactions per second. Collapse very soon, obviously. So, and we are very confident that this is going to be and remain seamless on the Algorand blockchain.
Brilliant. Thanks, Claudio. For any in the audience, you can actually order the sensors on your website.
Oh, okay. Let me explain this, because it's not exactly as what people think. So initially, that's an interesting story, by the way. Initially, we thought we onboard some types of sensors. So first information is that you cannot connect just any sensor to our network, because we have very strict quality requirements. So we have an internal onboarding procedure because before we approve a sensor. So there are only a few brands of sensors which are approved by us. So initially we thought, okay, we'll just sell ourselves the sensor and dispatch them throughout the world. And then we discovered the obvious, that having a business which aims to ship hardware worldwide is a very big challenge, and one where we're not good enough. So, you have all these customs, logistics challenges, and we thought it was not our business. So recently we changed our business model. So nowadays we communicate which brands of sensor have been approved by us. People can buy them wherever they want, and in order to connect them to our network, they will be given a license. So they will have to purchase a license, which covers, of course, the cost of all the software we are building and the network infrastructure, but we have decoupled the hardware from the software people and to scale. So on our website, what you find on our website is information on where to get sensors approved by us. You get a sensor, you get a license, and you're online.
Brilliant. Okay, great. So Sveinn, a question about DeFi and payments. Over the next 3 to 5 years, what's the desired outcome for Monerium?
So we have two functions, essentially. We issue authorized proven forms of euros and sterling on blockchains and other currencies at a later date. Then also we're a gateway. We want to be the seamless gateway between the existing financial infrastructure and the blockchain emerging DeFi infrastructure. In a similar way as PayPal was in the early days of the internet, in a similar way as Stripe has become for e-commerce payments in Web 2.0, our goal is to become the gateway for payments and money on blockchains for Web 3.0.
Worldwide. Johanna, you're on mute.
Sorry, excuse me. So just to the audience, we will be leaving about 10 minutes for questions. So I do encourage you to ask any questions in regarding to anything that we've talked about, and we'd love to hear any questions you have. So if you please go ahead, and Autumn will be kind of curating those correct questions also. Thanks, Autumn. Mike, so and that question then for you, it's like, what's like in DeFi and payments, like the next 3 to 5 years, what's the outcome for Bleumi?
Well, as I said at the beginning, I think there's going to be this, we really believe, all of our research is showing us that there's this shift happening from traditional to crypto, to digital currencies. You also got to throw into the mix CBDCs and government sponsored digital currencies. So we really believe that shift is going to be probably taking place over the next 10 years or so. But the adoption curve, right now we're, I'd say, in the innovators stage of the adoption curve. You got innovators like Sveinn and Claudio and Elio that are on the very early stage. We're going to see the next stage of early adopters probably in 2022, 2023 type of thing. And then mainstream adoption. I don't know what's going to actually trigger a mass, the herd to shift and start moving to digital currencies, but something's going to happen that is going to enable that shift. So we see a massive shift to digital currency. I mean, anytime, as you know, Johanna, anytime you can do things better, faster, cheaper, it's just inevitable that people are going to want to do that. Any CFO is going to say, oh, cheaper? Mm-hmm. Yes. Any CTO is going to say, oh, really? Faster? More secure? Yes. Don't forget, too, I would be remiss if I didn't to say this key term that I heard from Navid Istansula at Algorand. This is the key term. You ready? Post-quantum resilience. Post-quantum resilience. Get to know that term. It's really important.
Well, there's a lot of likes, so the audience knows what you're talking about, but I don't know what you're talking about. So can you please explain that?
Well, quantum computing is coming, right? Quantum computing, and who gets innovation first? Who adopts innovations first? Usually, criminals, right? They see a huge opportunity. So quantum computing is going to be able to really, and I'm not a quantum computing expert, right? But I've read enough to know that it's going to be able to hack into, very simply and easily, almost any existing legacy technology stack, right? And blockchain is an opportunity to, at least right now anyway, through advanced cryptography, protect yourself from the attacks of a quantum computer. So the hope is that blockchain will continue to evolve, get better, stronger, and so forth. And as quantum computing evolves as well, that we'll be able to keep up. So the key there is that enterprise decision makers can't really be talking anymore about the ROI of blockchain. Just like people don't talk about the ROI of e-commerce anymore. It's, hey, if we don't do e-commerce, we're not doing business. So if we don't do blockchain, we're going to be shredded, very simply.
Okay.
So no, I have to say, we have to position ourselves to serve the big wave of mainstream adoption. We're seeing now mainstream adoption of cryptocurrency as a speculative asset class. But at the same time, blockchains hold so much more in store. And Monerium being blockchain agnostic, we really love Algorand for the reasons that Mike just explained. For example, they thought about the potential impact of quantum computing on blockchain security, for example. But it's really ultimately the mainstream use cases that we want to serve, like Barbera Coffee, like PlanetWatch, with a proven form of money on blockchain, so that mainstream businesses and households can transact using the regular euros, regular sterling, regular krona, regular dollar, whatever you is the currency of your region where you live.
I think that was one of the main themes from Consensus this week in New York was, how early things are. Like people within crypto feel that it's, it's been around for a good while, but actually it's still very, very early. But it's really nice to see how Monerium or Bleumi and the fact that Elio and Claudio are using it. It's a nice story. Elio, what kind of sparked you to get into crypto? Was it?
Let's say I'm not in the space since a long time, maybe 2-3 years, and I like the blockchain in general. So we are working also in other projects, such as bringing our supply chain into the blockchain and creating traceability and transparency. So it's more like an overall vision in adapting. And definitely, I believe, if I may come back to your point before, that as Sveinn said, this year it's very speculative. But I'm sure as soon as people understand the power of DeFi, they can understand that actually they can earn some yield, with their salary even or with their saving. I think this would be a huge game changer as well for the payment online. Because once people bring their money to crypto, I don't know how much they want to convert into fiat. Maybe, of course, if they need the money, they will do it to buy something. But if they see their asset growing, they can even spend it. There I think you have the really, really adoption. So as Mike said, maybe it's gonna take some more years, but I'm confident we're gonna go there.
Yeah, it really is. It's the holding mentality versus actually, using it. It's a big, it's a game changer. So I think we have. Do we have a question?
We have a few great questions, actually. Let's see.
Can I please address CBDC really quickly?
Please.
Because we've done, our team includes people who have served in central banks and regulators. So we thought about the CBDC issue for some time, and we've actually had conversations with regulators and central banks about it. And the fundamental conclusion of everybody who is on top of policy when it comes to central banking is that for central banks to serve the public directly would require a fundamental rethink of their existing function in society, including such issues as privacy issues, including serving AML, KYC. It would require at least an incubation period of several years. We don't believe that's a very likely scenario. We think that as to date, central banks will continue to serve the public through licensed institutions. Primarily banks today, but there's increasingly discussion of central banks admitting other licensed financial institutions, such as e-money issuers, to the central banking services, as it were, to let non-bank licensed issuers and payment services provider to use the central bank facilities to for safekeeping and also for payments. I'd specifically like to name Bank of England that has been pioneering in this regard, but there are other central banks in Europe and elsewhere that are considering those options.
Great, thank you. That actually addressed the first question I was going to ask you. So let's see. We have a couple questions actually for Cafe Barbera. So it's a two-part question. Does Italy have a tax code or compliance for crypto tokens? It's the first part. And secondly, what are the tax implications when spending algo to buy coffee? Is it like selling?
Okay, it's a very good question. So at the moment in Italy, cryptocurrencies are considered like any, let's say, foreign currency. So in case you will hold it, you will pay the capital tax, let's say, of the difference of the, in case the price increase. In our case, we convert immediately into fiat because still the registration is not very clear. So whoever, let's say, pay us, we convert the values token into fiat and we send it to our bank account to avoid any, let's say, problem with taxation. But for sure, there is already a tax and it's considered as a capital tax. So basically, it's a foreign exchange. And of course, we put in all our products in our e-commerce, there is already the VAT included, that in Italy is 22%. So any product they buy, either with the crypto, or with the euro, or with Monerium, with the digital euro, there is already the VAT included in the price.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Claudio. I'm sorry, not Claudio. Thank you, Elio. The next question is for Claudio. This is also a two-part question. One of our attendees asks, I am based in Germany. Can I be a Planet Watcher and be part of the token program? And then second part is there a guide on the PlanetWatch website of the procedure for installing a sensor and getting the rewards?
Okay, thank you. So the first answer is a straight yes. I mean, we are our scope is worldwide, and challenges are related essentially to availability of devices which need to be certified as compliant in different parts of the world. For example, we have some sensors which are compliant in Europe, but not yet in the USA, and we're working on it, and others need to be certified for Asia. But the European Union is our, say, core market, so we have quite a few sensors which are okay and certified and available, so you can definitely be a Planet Watcher immediately. The second part of the question, sorry, the second thing was about instructions. Yeah, okay, the thing is the following. We are continuously testing new sensors and onboarding them. So rather than putting instruction on the website, which would change every other day, what we do is if you buy one of the approved sensors and get a license, you will get an email with very detailed instructions and further support if you need it. So we don't put detailed instructions on the website, but you'll be contacted as soon as you become a Planet Watcher.
Great, thanks, Claudio. Okay, let's see. This is more of a general question, and I'm curious to hear the panelists' thoughts on this. Do you see a future where all crypto assets will be interoperable with each other, where it doesn't matter which platform investors or users or businesses come to?
That's the end state, if I may. That's how it will be eventually. And almost all the assets that we transact today will somehow migrate onto blockchain, into the cloud, just like media has, just like so many things have today.
But actually, I'm gonna peg on a question to that. What do you think needs to happen next? Like, do you think it will be industry that will be kind of promoting policy, or do you think it will be as a result of ecosystems growing? And like, who'll be wagging the dog or wagging the tail, or whatever that saying is? Will it be governments or will it be the crypto ecosystem?
It will be a combination of both. Right. It will be a constant dialogue, but I really love the Elio Barbera use case of streamlining supply chains, reducing latency to T+0 seconds, unlocking liquidity that's now pent up in all these supply chains, and making the transactions go peer-to-peer direct, as Satoshi envisioned originally. But it will be a constant back and forth between the regulators, the governments on one hand, and the community that is sort of experimenting and adopting.
Okay.
Claudio, were you going to say something too on that question?
Yeah, I'll just make a quick comment. Yeah, I think there will be some, as with any new disruptive technology and technology revolution, there will be a consolidation phase, so that not all the blockchains that we're playing around with at the moment will survive, most likely. There will be a consolidation of key leading technologies. Possibly there will not be just one blockchain, because there are so many different use cases. So I would say a few technologies will prove out to be the best, the most suitable, and then the challenge will be to integrate them one with another and to make them interoperable. And I know there is already a lot of technical work going on at the moment, and I think it's market forces as well as the will to build global communities with no barriers will all lead the effort towards interoperability.
Yeah, if I could just make a shameless plug on interoperability, one of the things that we're doing at the Boston Blockchain Association is this summer we're going to be comparing the use cases of different blockchain protocols against each other. So in other words, I shouldn't say against, but in comparison to each other. So what is this protocol really good for? What is this protocol really good for? Etc. Right? And we're going to be doing that. And the end game on that is to finally get people to say, okay, this protocol is good for this. This protocol is good for this. Here's my use case. We're going to develop on this, and it's okay because we can also interoperate with the other protocols. So that's something that really needs to happen. So right now, when you send a text, you don't care what ISP somebody's working on, right? It just goes to them, right? So the same thing for blockchain protocols in the future.
Yeah, the rising tide of blockchain. There needs to be interoperability, and I have to say that's one thing about, and we're very clear on in Algorand that we're an inclusive environment, and we thumbs up to interoperability. It's needed. So, Autumn, are there any other questions?
Yeah, and another two great ones if we have time. Let's see. The first one, compared to credit cards, when transacting in cryptocurrency, the buyer pays the transaction fee rather than the merchant. Does the panel think this will slow general adoption of crypto, and how do we manage that?
Elio, do you want to comment on that relative to the fees associated?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, actually, credit card fees are much higher than the one of the system we're using at the moment. I don't know if this will change in the future. Probably people like PayPal and MasterCard and Visa, they will adapt. Of course, you see they're already, let's say, implementing crypto, but actually the credit card fees are more expensive. We're talking about 2 to 3% of every transaction, which is actually quite a lot.
And paid by the merchant.
And paid, yeah, absolutely, paid by the merchant. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, at the moment, actually, pay with crypto, you even save some cost.
Right.
Well, and I'd like to add to that as well. In the US here, a lot of merchants are starting to pass the fees along to customers. So they give you the option, pay with your credit card and pay an additional 3%, which depending on the size of the transaction can be really significant. So it's starting to be a customer issue.
That is certainly the case in nonprofits. If you're going to donate to a nonprofit using a credit card, could you please cover the fee?
Yeah, and service-based businesses here in the US as well are starting to do that quite a bit. So
the credit card networks, they hail from the 60s, and their architecture and their business logic is designed based on principles of the 60s. This is a fundamental change in way people transact. I think the credit card issues will have to adapt or they will go away.
So whether you're buying your product in Milan or Reykjavik or London, we accept Algorand.
And Euros Algorand, of course, yes.
Claudio, I'm conscious, I know that you have to go at 1:30, and so if anybody sees Claudio disappear again, just to wave bye to Claudio. But
sorry.
No, not at all. But what's so lovely about this panel is, it's Blockchain Ireland Week, and it's just really great to see what you're doing, Sveinn, in Europe, and you're based in Reykjavik, Elio, you're in Italy, and Claudio, you're in Italy, and Mike, you're in Boston. It's just really, really nice for this ecosystem to see what's going on. And it's and how you're all even connected together and the work that you're doing. It's a nice story. And I'm really excited about like working more with you, Mike, some campaigns we have got going. We'd love to hear of any brands that are listening here that are interested in implementing Bleumi Pay, and just reach out to Mike. He's there. Go buy some Cafe Barbera.
It's awesome coffee.
It's really good coffee.
It's amazing.
Sveinn is allowing this all to happen, and Claudio, you're saving our environment, which is wonderful. It needs to happen.
Well, thanks a lot,
And I'm
Joanne.
also a coffee
Really
drinker,
appreciate
for that
it.
matter, and I love Elio's coffee.
It was wonderful talking to you all, and a massive thanks to Ronan and Autumn for helping me with this. Couldn't have happened without them. And I look forward to seeing you all again on more of our calls.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Pleasure.
Thanks so much,
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.